Hot news in freezing cold, marchers find warmth through King's message. The Washington Post. The words were knitted into the men's black and gold ski hats as they gathered in Anacostia Monday, waiting to join the floats, dancers, and marchers in the Martin Luther King, Jr. Peace Walk and Parade. It was a fitting slogan for a 21-degree day whose wind chill made it feel like 4 degrees. But the phrase, "Well, fight till hell freezes over, and then we'll fight on ice," said Kaithlyn Warner, 55, vice president of one of the district's 3 chapters and a regular parade participant. "We use ice as activism was on the minds of many who braved the cold for the 13th annual parade along Martin Luther King Jr. Avenue SE, some jammed inside the storefront of Check It, a social enterprise organization. They wrapped their hands while elements of King's dream had been accomplished, participants said. Much remained to be done. Eric Weaver, 49, hoped to raise awareness about the violence plaguing the streets a half-century after everything he stood. It was Ray Martin's first time at the parade. "After retiring, me as an American, as a Christian, I feel like we have to be giving a lot more attention to the economic disparities in this country, and one of the things I can do for this is to show up, be present," he said. Noting that King had turned his attention to poverty before he died, Martin said, the issues he was addressing were the issues that humankind has grappled with for millennia. All of us. The parade was smaller than with some participants canceling because of the frigid temperatures. But turnout was elsewhere around the region. Other events celebrated the holiday. At the Bethesda North, Judy Taylor, 61, of Silver Spring, recalled attending segregated schools in Southern Virginia and, as a teenager, signing petitions to make King's birthday a. She said she had taken a day off every year to volunteer in honor of King even before the holiday was established in 1983. "A whole lot of folks gave a whole lot so I could be here," she said. "If you forget where," Carolyn Chung and Chris Pochacedermo, of Rockville, crouched on the floor around the beginnings of an orange and blue fleece blanket with their 8-year-old son, Jay. It was their first time volunteering as a family, Chung said, and it was rewarding, even if the crush of people was somewhat claustrophobia-inducing. "We wanted to show Jay what it means to give something, whether it's time or money or both," Pochacedermo said. Chanel Houston, of Silver Spring, was filling boxes of food for Manna Food Center, a food bank in Montgomery County. "We live in a very, back in Anacostia," the Alpha Phi Alpha men talked about their work promoting health care, voters' rights, and education. Warner said "We've made a lot of strides, but I think I'd be disappointed in what's going on today. Like the shutdown outside, a group of go dancers in black unitards and jazz shoes shimmied by, sockless. They've got to be free." Christopher Drayton, 56, the chapter's president, laughed. "Our brother Martin."
Raindrop, drop top, smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up, open the park pot.